everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody. I'm joined alongside my good friend and co-host, London Beth. And today we are talking about how the Bears released their first unofficial depth chart on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021, with some very obvious names in the starting category and some very London was right about everything category. London knows, obviously, he has good insight on this. We'll get more into that. You probably know who we're talking about because we talk about him every single episode, but we don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. We will jump into the depth chart, give our thoughts, and lots of guys are off the injury chart. The injury bug is slowly starting to leave the Chicago Bears. It seems like trainers are starting to get everything right. So very excited for that, especially that today the Chicago Bears have their first joint practice with the Miami Dolphins at Hallis Hall. But before we begin, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Stupid Car Tray. Tired of your pizza toppings sliding, office coffee distracting you while driving, grease and other stains getting on your seat, or you're just enjoying a game on the couch and don't want to lean over? Look no further than the Stupid Car Tray. Proudly USA made, Stupid Car Tray makes your passenger seat or couch a level surface for all transportation and couch potato needs. With accessories like the Stupid Seat Anchor, hand sanitizer bottle, or 100% silicone grip mat, your tray is the ultimate car organizer. With over 20 different color combinations, there's a Stupid Car Tray for everyone. Visit www.stupidcartray.com and use discount code J16 to get 16% off your entire order. Link in the description.
Less mess, less stressful during the driving experience. The only thing that's stressful about this, and it isn't the football that we're going to talk about. Nick, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. The Chicago Bears have released their unofficial depth chart. Again, this means that it's just an idea of what the team will look like. The official depth chart will be released probably right before the Sunday night game against the LA Rams week 1 when it is no longer preseason. Some names may shock you. Some names we and many others predicted, and many more updates to come. This is not official again. I just want to clarify that one more time. We are just giving the information from the Chicago Bears. This is not us predicting anything. This is from the Chicago Bears. Please comment your thoughts below after the episode. We want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the starters and kind of the shocking news about some of these guys. London and I are kind of taken away by some of this because we could not believe that, you know, some of the decisions that were made, but also our insight, and Bears fans' insight is very on topic. So Matt Nagy has confirmed that he'll be more aggressive this year. He's obviously learned that not playing the starters in the preseason has hurt him in the last couple of years for the Chicago Bears. He has confirmed that more starters will be playing at least 8 to 10 reps or 2 for sure drives. Very exciting to see. You want to see the starters out there. You want to get a little bit of taste about what it's going to be and kind of get the mojo flowing, hoping that there's no injuries. Obviously, we want the health of the players to be, as best as possible, but very exciting to see. And he said Justin Fields is going to get a lot of playing time. So I hope you guys bought your preseason tickets. I did. I'm going to Bears versus Bills. Fields versus Trubisky. I hope Trubisky absolutely gets demolished after his comments yesterday about the Chicago Bears organization. So go to Twitter and make sure you check that out. But let's go through the offense. First string, we're going to go from right to left. Darnell Mooney, wide receiver. Tight end, Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is the number 1 tight end on the roster right now. Latavius Simmons, right tackle. That's as of right now with Ifedi out and also Jenkins. Right guard, James Daniels. Happy to see James Daniels will be playing this upcoming Saturday, it looks like. Sam Mustipher, obviously, that's become pretty obvious. He became a fan favorite at center. And a lot of people think of him as Olin Kreutz. If you don't know who Olin Kreutz is, he's one of the Bears' greatest centers of all time. So Sam Mustipher came on the scene last year in the second half of the season. He is the starting center for the Chicago Bears. Left guard, Cody Whitehair, the longest tenured Chicago Bears lineman. Veteran, the leader of this squad, back in his original position that he was drafted out of college for, where he's been one of the better interior linemen in the NFL over the last couple of years. And then at left tackle, Elijah Wilkinson, the Denver Bronco left tackle that we picked up in free agency. This is only because Tevin Jenkins is still on the injury report, unfortunately. More to come on that. Starting quarterback, Andy Dalton. Running back, David Montgomery. Wide receiver, Allen Robinson. And the third starting wide receiver, Marquise Goodwin. So that is your starting Chicago Bears as of right now. That is subject to change, obviously, as time goes on. Expect that offensive line to get switched up a little bit. Second string, Damier Byrd, Jimmy Graham, wide receiver. Jimmy Graham is the second string wide receiver, the veteran. Obviously, he's been a mentor to Cole Kmet, was one of our best red zone targets last year. More to come on that. I have a quick little insight on it. I'm sure London has a little bit on that too. At right tackle, Tyrone Wintley Jr. We've never really hit on him. Haven't really heard the name. He must be an undrafted free agent. Right guard Alex Bars, who's been on the Bears for a long time. Center Damier Byrd. I think this is another undrafted rookie free agent. Left guard Arlington Hambright, the big ham, the guy that the Bears drafted last year in later rounds. And then at left tackle, second string as of right now, Tevin Jenkins. Second string quarterback Justin Fields. Expect to get a lot of preseason playing time. Running back second string, and I don't expect this to change, is Damian Williams, Kansas City Chiefs pickup that we picked up in the offseason. Very good. Has really impressed at camp. Expect Tyreek Cohen to be in that third string spot. We'll get to who's the third string in a second. Second string wide receiver, Chris Lacey, who has been doing really well at camp, connecting very well with Justin Fields. And then Riley Ridley, a guy that is fighting for a roster spot. We've been very critical on him so far. Third string, just a quick highlights because Larry Burham, right now is the third string left tackle. I'm sure that he will get moved to second string or first string right tackle, depending on injury status. Nick Foles is a third string quarterback. Obviously expect him to potentially get traded in the next couple of weeks. Khalil Herbert is the third string running back right now, but I don't think that's going to stay. I think that's going to become Tyreek Cohen in a little bit. And then Javon Wims is the third string wide receiver. Not looking good for him. He's had a lot of problems at camp. So that's the depth chart right now. So again, unofficial. This is subject to change. Once the offensive line is healed up, I expect a lot of change there. And Jesse James is fighting for that third string tight end spot. So wow, London, a lot of information, a lot of names, a lot of lineups. What are your first thoughts when you see this offense? I know we kind of hit on it, but what do you think right out of the gate?
Completely panic stricken. And I want to try to be optimistic about this. I mean, it was exciting that we got this information. It was exciting that they came out. They put this out here. I mean, there's names on here that we kind of knew were going to happen. We knew Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney were going to be the featured wide receivers. You called it with Marquise Goodwin being the third wide receiver. Kudos to that. We knew Andy Dalton was at least going to be the week one for, QB1. I guess the Cole Kmet being the number one tight end and Jimmy Graham being the number two is a little bit of kind of a shakeup, but honestly, that's the direction in which we saw this team was going to go at the tight end position. Panic though on the offensive line. Our left tackle and our right tackle are not the greatest. Simmons just hasn't got a lot of time in the NFL. Elijah Wilkinson was a liability, to say the least, for the Denver Broncos. Interior wise, I'm okay. Interior wise, it's great. James Daniels, Sam Mustipher, Cody Whitehair. But the problem is those outside, the blind side of the quarterback. I really, really am nervous about that. And just to kind of get into the big thing that I'm nervous about, Andy Dalton's not a scrambling quarterback. Okay. He's not athletic. Okay. He's an accurate quarterback, and that's what he's been known for. And that's why he has 4,000 yards seasons in the NFL. But he needs to have a good offensive line to do that. I think if this offensive line continues to stay injured and continues to stay injured throughout the year, A, we're going to lose games because of it. And B, it's going to jolt Justin Fields up into a position to play as the starting quarterback before I think he will be ready. Super nervous about that. Overall, though, I'm very excited for Cole Kmet. I think that's a really big highlight. Khalil Herbert, I guess, has been having a really good camp, and I know we'll hit on him in the special teams. That's really, really awesome. Again, the door kind of got opened when Cohen didn't come off the PUP. Yeah.
Physically unable
list.
To perform.
Yeah. And so when he got off, he was still on that. Khalil Herbert took full advantage, got that position. So overall, with our skill positions, very exciting. Very, very exciting. I think that we have some actual dynamic down the field threats this year that we haven't had in past years. The biggest problem is our left tackle and our right tackle, because teams will expose that. And starting week one, we're going against a phenomenal defensive line of the LA Rams, and that is scary.
Yep. And I think you absolutely hit on it. But just to make things a little bit better, there's 4 weeks till it's 32 days. It's 32 days to opening kickoff. I think that honestly, if Eddie could get better by then, I know it's a hip flexor. I know it's a pretty serious injury, but it shows his importance to this team now, and that why the Bears kept him around. He definitely turned around his career. People looked at him as a bust in Seattle, but we definitely need him back. And Tevin Jenkins, they're saying that he's moving around. They're saying that, Advaith hit on it. You don't just push a golf cart around. You don't just push big weights around. it's not a hit. A lot of people are saying it's not his disc, which that's huge. And again, we want him to take the time in order to get better. But also Larry Borum has a concussion. Hopefully he can get over that very soon. But take your time. Do not mess with the player's head. Do not mess with anyone's head. Like, that is a very serious injury. So more to come to that. So the offensive line hopefully is going to look better in a little bit. But again, less injuries on this roster, and that looks a lot. I mean, if James Daniel wasn't in there, then I'd be very concerned. But having the 3 interior, that makes me feel a little better, because we all know Matt Nagy loves to run the draw play, as much as it hurts to say. Let's go to the defense really fast. First string, defensive tackle, Akeem Hicks, obviously. Nose tackle, Tonga, big Tonga. BYU captain last year, drafted in the 6th round by the Chicago Bears. He's the starting nose tackle because Eddie Goldman is out, but he is over Mike Pennell, who's a veteran in the NFL, a Super Bowl champion. So that's a big sign that he's ripping it up at camp. Defensive end, technically the way the Bears have it, while Nichols is starting, even though we know he's going to be inside. Outside linebacker, Khalil Mack, who's going to really be an edge player. Danny Trevathan, inside linebacker. Roquan Smith, inside linebacker. Robert Quinn, the other edge player, alongside Khalil Mack. Good to see him back on the field in pads, looking really good so far. Definitely having a bounce back from the injury. Quarterback Jalen Johnson as the starter. Safety Tayshaun Gibson, who's also back from injury. He had a groin injury. Eddie Jackson's back from injury. He's officially been proved by trainers, passed his physical. Good to go there. Very exciting to see Eddie Jackson back. And then the other starting cornerback, Kendall Vildor, is number 1 right now on the unofficial depth chart, and up in front of Desmond Trufant. Let's go into second string really fast. Obviously, Desmond Trufant, second string right now for the cornerback. Deion Bush is the second string safety. I was kind of shocked to see that. In the other safety, DeAndre Houston Carson. I think DeAndre Houston Carson will go in before Deion Bush, to be honest. He is the guy that helped save the Bucs game with that final pass. So, and also he's a great player overall. Artie Burns is the other second string cornerback. So good to see that they have faith in him and want him on the roster. Last year, Artie Burns did not play due to getting hurt at training camp. So happy to see him back. Outside linebacker, Jeremiah Acho. And then I'm going to botch this last name, Joel Mbuniwe. Mbuniwe. We said it one time. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize for that. But he's been on the Bears for a long time. He's a later round pick. He's a very strong depth player. Good to see him at the second string position behind Roquan Smith. And then inside linebacker behind Danny Trevathan is Christian Jones, and not Alec Ogletree, the guy that's been absolutely ripping it up at camp. I think that this is subject to change. Again, this is the unofficial roster, so more to come with that. Other outside linebacker behind Khalil Mack is Travis Gibson, who has been having a very good training camp so far. It's his sophomore season. He put on 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Looks like a completely different player. Happy to see him there. Behind the nose tackle position, again, Mike Pennell, who will obviously go to third string. As of right now, if Tonga is the second string, because when Eddie Goldman does come back, if he does come back, we're praying that he comes back, but please get better first before making that decision. And then the other defensive tackle is Angelo Blackson. Another couple names, again, that kind of stand out to us is that Alec Ogletree is third string right now. I think he is going to make this roster. There is no doubt about it with the way he's been playing at training camp and his leadership. He looks great. He's staying healthy. Thomas Graham Jr. is a third string cornerback as of right now. I think that is subject to change depending on how he plays in the preseason. And Ladarius Mack is not last on the roster, to be nice. So it's good to see that Ladarius Mack is, starting to earn that respect of the Bears, not just because he's Khalil Mack's brother, but because he is playing well. So London, a lot I went through. I know the number one thing right now is Desmond Trufant is behind Kendall Vildor. I know you're very happy about that. But what do you think besides the other big names on that, how this depth chart is shaking up right now on defense?
Yeah, so before I toot my own horn about the Kendall Vildor and how I've been preaching him, you go back and look at our second year rated before training camp started, you'll see it. Before I do that, I do want to talk about Tonga. I actually am really excited for that. Yes. He was, I think, the biggest surprise coming out at nose tackle, which is actually a very pivotal position for our defense as we run a 3-4 defense. I mean, you're the middle guy. You've seen how important Eddie Goldman has been to this team, and he plays that nose tackle position. Unfortunately, he's not available right now. So, again, that door was open. Tonga took it. Yeah, with good reason. But the door was open. Tonga took it. And he right now, if the season was week 1 this weekend, he would be the starter. Kudos to him. I'm actually really excited about that. That's another great King Pace draft pick that he just picked up randomly, in like the 6th round? Yeah, and he's right now our starting nose tackle. That's really, really exciting and something that, again, I was a little bit worried about our depth. Tonga just provided a ton of depth. Okay, so that's really, really awesome. Linebackers kind of saw that coming. I know a lot of people think Alec Ogletree should be higher, and I understand what everybody's saying there because he has all these interceptions and everything. But when it comes to knowing the playbook and understanding how the plays are ran, Christian Jones was on the Bears for a while, was actually a really good player. Gibson's been on the Bears for 2 years. Joel has been on the Bears for like 4 or 5 years. I mean, those guys just understand the playbook more, and I think understand the flow of how this defense runs more, and that's why Alec Ogletree just isn't as high. Maybe he could move up. Maybe he'll stay there. I don't really know. And then, of course, secondary-wise, I am very excited for Kendall Vildor. We were kind of already talking about how Desmond Trufant was kind of going down and how we can maybe save some cap from that. Kendall Vildor, again, that opportunity presented itself. He took it, and he's running with it, and that's really, really awesome. The biggest thing I'm going to say is Eddie Jackson is back. Okay,
yeah,
he is the quarterback of our. He's the quarterback of our secondary. I was a little nervous that he was out for like undisclosed reasons, and he was kind of injured, and he had to do a physical to get back on the field. And I was like, "Where is he at? We just paid him a ton of money. What's going on here?" He's back. He's looking better than ever, and so I'm very excited. This defense, again, will be a top 5 defense. This defense I'm not worried about at all. And like I said, I think we added some depth and some players stepped up, which again added even more depth. That's awesome.
Yeah, and 2 things I want to hit on really fast, and I apologize. Mario Edwards Jr. is a second stringer as well. I think that in all honesty that Mario Edwards Jr. would get more playing time than Tonga still because of that experience, because of the player that he is. But Tonga still will get a lot of playing time. And I know a lot of people have asked us about this. Charles Snowden, who the Bears took as an undrafted free agent, is on the 4th string right now. So it looks like he's going to be a practice squad player. He's had an okay camp from reports, but no one's really talked about him because obviously Alec Ogletree has been the main topic of conversation as an unbelievable pickup by King Pace. And a fun story about Alec Ogletree, which I think that a lot of people need to know about, is that he's good friends with Robert Quinn, okay, from the LA Rams days. He was actually at Hallis Hall watching Robert Quinn's sister win gold at the Olympics, and he had no idea the Bears were even thinking about signing him. So when he got the call, he's like, yeah, I'm here. He's literally at Hallis Hall. I thought that report was so funny. It's kind of like, the stars align there, and he's doing really well for the Chicago Bears. So I really hope Alec Ogletree makes the roster as he's doing very well for the Chicago Bears. He's a good veteran. He's been a captain before, and he can fill in much better than some other players potentially. Not going to say names, don't want to disrespect players, but, the talent is there. Quickly going to go through special teams as some of this isn't shocker. Punter, Pat O'Donnell, the longest trenched Bear on this roster. Obviously, Cairo Santos, obviously. We do have a second string kicker, Brian Johnson. I know Brian Johnson hasn't been doing too well. I think it's just in case something goes wrong. But Santos obviously signed that big extension with the Chicago Bears. He's going to be a Chicago Bear. Patrick Scales, our long snapper, is back off the COVID list. Happy to hear he's happy and healthy. And then our holder, Pat O'Donnell, again, like he's been for, the last decade or so. A kick return. This is what we wanted to get at, is Khalil Herbert. He's the number 1 kick returner right now. Very exciting. He's got that swagger. He's got the speed. He's a good route runner, or not a route runner, but he's got good footwork. So very excited to see that. Chris Lacey is a second string guy. And that's just what it is for a kick return right now. And then punt return is Damier Byrd. And the reason why Byrd was a second stringer on the wide receiver team is because it looks like they're going to be using him as that punt returner. He has experience in that, so very good to see. Darnell Mooney is second string, which I kind of found was shocking because Daz Newsome is third string. So kind of weird. I think Daz Newsome's still getting over that injury. I know and again, it's subject to change. It's an unofficial depth chart. So nothing shocking there, but London, anything shocking before we go into the final injuries topic?
No, I really like that Khalil Herbert again took that opportunity on special teams and is really, has really opened the door to making this roster. I don't like Darnell Mooney on special teams, by the way.
No,
he's not a special teams player. He should not be on special teams. Look what happened to Cohen when we stuck him on special teams. It wore his body out, which led to an injury. I expect Daz Newsome to kind of move up into that punt return thing. So I don't want Darnell Mooney catching a single punt. Ever. I don't want him touch unless we're down by. Yeah, unless we got to go like Deshaun Jackson against the Giants where we just need our best player in there. I don't want him touching the ball.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Would not like that at all. But London also, I don't know if it's like there's storms here in Chicago. I don't know if there's storms up north by you, but when you started talking about like how passionate you are about Darnell Mooney not being on that, like the room got really dark and it looks like you're like holding up a flashlight, scaring everybody, like don't play him.
Yeah, it just got super dark outside because we're about to get like hit by another storm. So it like literally is like pitch black outside.
Yeah, same here in Chicago. But I just thought that was like perfect. I was like, that's a side for Matt Nagy not to do that. But, last quick subject, injuries. This list went from 18 players to 6. So it's 1/3 the size. 4 of them are, got to be safe injuries. Tevin Jenkins, obviously, we need to monitor that. Let him get better. Josh Woods still has a quad injury. Alec Ogletree could take his spot on the roster as of right now. Wishing Josh Woods a speedy recovery. Larry Borum still has that concussion. He still is in concussion protocol. Hopefully over the next couple of days he'll get past, but please take your time in order to get ready. Eddie Goldman's still on the COVID list. Stay tuned for that. Jermaine Ifedi is still on the physically unable to perform list due to that hip flexor. And then Tyreek Cohen is also out on the physically unable to perform list, PUP, because of that ACL injury. But he looks good. He's working out. I think he'll be back in the next couple of weeks. So, London, great episode as always. The Bears depth chart is looking strong out of the gate, even though it's unofficial. Expect there to be some changes. Be excited this Saturday for noon as the Bears take on the Miami Dolphins at Soldier Field. Friday, we will have pregame review as what we think we'll see out of the team. It's preseason, and I know people are like, whatever, but Justin Fields is playing, baby, and we're going to get all into it. So with that, thank you for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my co-host and good friend London Beth, and we will see you guys next time.